to Rue's life. So I'm just in the Polytunnel. It's actually a beautiful day here on the farm, and I want to show you around the plot and the farm and what's going on in February. So we'll start off here in the Polytunnel. I've already started using quite a lot of the compost that I bought. So these are 40-litre bags, and it's peat-free compost, and I managed to get 16 bags into the back of the Land Rover to get us ready to start getting prepared for spring. So I have started using those. And then here in this bed, we've got some leek. And my plan is to actually transplant those outside, but I'm going to wait until the weather has warmed up just a little bit because I don't want to shock them when I move them. There are some potatoes under this fleece. The leaves aren't looking brilliant. As I said in previous videos, they did get frosted because I didn't cover them with the fleece soon enough, but I'm going to leave them alone and see what they do. This is the little lavender plant. That at some point will be planted outside, and I want to get some more, and I have got a plan with lavender, but that's for a future video. This is a wheelbarrow that's actually full of well-rotted horse manure from our muck heap from the horses, and that is for a project which you will see later on, probably this month, February. So keep watching. Again, there's some more potatoes in that bed in much the same state as the ones in the other bed. Again, I'll give them a chance to see what they do. This door is still covered. We put the bit of cladding over that, as I've explained before, to cover over the mesh, and also, let me just get a bit closer, to stop any you know, sort of cold air coming through the edge of the door. And while we're here, let's just have a little look. So it's 1.4 degrees at the moment outside, but it's 5.5 degrees here in the Polytunnel, so it's a good place to be. There are some leek seedlings going on at the end of this long bed. Again, I will probably get those outside at some point. These are some straggler leek that when I did my big tidy and clear up of the outside beds, I just discovered them in amongst things that I'd forgotten about, so I've popped them in here to keep them going, and again they will probably go outside. There's just a few carrots left here which are ready for harvesting, but I very often, as again I've explained before, I tend to store things in the ground and just pull them as and when we need them. And then the rest of this bed is empty. Got various hanging baskets which at the moment are all empty. And then we've got this little tub here, the wooden one, with nothing in it at the moment. And then above that, we've got another empty hanging basket. And then here we've got my peas, sweet peas, and broad beans. There's no germination yet on the peas or the sweet peas, and I'm not going to open those at the moment because I'm trying to retain a tiny bit of heat in there. But the main reason that they're in these propagators is to keep the mice out, which so far has been successful. And then the broad beans, which I just, again, these soil sieves are for no other purpose than to keep the mice out. And actually, if you look, you can just see here, we're starting to get a little bit of germination, which I'm really pleased with. So let's go outside. So the compost bays are just rotting down quite nicely. I'm going to leave this one. I may put a cover over it and just really let that rot down. And then this is the new one that I've started. And then in this bin, which was in the woodshed, is actually full of lovely leaves. There's 3 tubs there with nothing going on in them at the moment. This is the rhubarb bed, and at the moment it's mulched with some chicken bedding, which was when I was using the shredded paper, and there's also some straw in there, and of course lots of lovely chicken poop, and that's doing fine, so I'm going to leave that as it is for now. But I may add a little topping of either some horse manure or some compost. And then the 3 long beds here. This one has now been completely prepared for the spring, as has this bed here. So it's just that far bed there where you can see it's just got a layer of chicken bedding and some hay, and I do need to finish that by topping on top with some leaves and then some compost. The only thing I've got going on out here at the moment is there's some celery here, and then across there that's an alpine strawberry. So the alpine strawberry we're just going to leave to its own devices. The plan for the celery is, if I can get it to survive through the winter, and it's been doing quite well so far, is that it may bolt a little and go to seed come the spring, and I want to save those seeds for sowing. So that's the plan. Whether it comes to fruition or not, we shall see. And then across there is the section that we have been promising to make into a wildflower meadow. Now, we have had 2 unsuccessful attempts, but we have got a plan. So watch this space and you will get to see us creating and developing that area as a wildflower meadow. So that's everything here at the plot and polytunnel. Let's go across to the house and the garden and I'll show you what's going on over there. So one of the surefire signs that spring is coming are these beautiful, beautiful snowdrops. And we've got an abundance of those all along the edges of the driveway and also in the garden, which I will show you. So we're just at the back of the chicken area. Chickens are still being kept under cover. They're doing really, really well, and I will be doing another chicken video in the next coming weeks, but they're doing absolutely fine, and they have started to lay again, and we're getting around 5-6 eggs a day, and that's from 11 hens, so I'm really pleased with that. So just while we're in this direction, I just wanted to show you, this is actually our sheep's summer paddock, and you can see there's an awful lot of molehills in there. And while that fills some people with absolute horror if they're popping up all over your lawn, for me, it actually makes me quite excited because I can actually go with my wheelbarrow and take that lovely oxygen-rich, fluffy soil, which is good quality topsoil, pop it in a wheelbarrow, and I can actually use that for growing. And there'll be some videos coming up in the future showing you how I do that and what lovely soil it is. So I just thought while I was passing, I would show that to you. You can see we've got a lovely frost here today. We've got some flooding in the paddock, which we always get at this time of the year, so we don't use that paddock very much really until the summer. Some more of these beautiful snowdrops here. As I say, there's little clumps of them all around, and it won't be long before there'll be some daffodils. And we'll go and have a look under the oak tree where I popped all those spring bulbs in a previous video. I haven't looked to see very closely. I don't think there's anything coming, but we'll go and have a look. And again, just while we're passing, this is the haylage, which is like a wrapped form of hay, and it kind of, when it gets wrapped when it's just been harvested, it just holds in a lot more nutritional content, and that's for the horses, and we are feeding them through the winter months because there's not as much nutrition. Although there is some grass out there for them, because I'm very careful with my grazing, it hasn't got the nutritional content, so they are getting some haylage and a hard feed or a bucket feed once or twice a day, depending on how cold it is, always in the morning. If it's really cold and or wet, then I'll chuck them a little bit extra in the afternoon or evening as well. And here we are just outside the woodshed, and you can see that some of my herbs are doing very well. I did intend to cut that back and just never got round to it, so they will get cut back and weeded out, and anything that needs to come out will, and then I can always put in some fresh ones which I will grow from seed, but anything else will just get a little bit of a haircut. So here we are just coming into the garden, and again there are snowdrops absolutely everywhere, and it won't be long before we have also an abundance of daffodils. There's the chickens, and then over here, this is the little bed that I tend to have. You can see the remains of last year's sunflowers, calendula and nasturtium, and this is a real beautiful riot of colour. And then up the back there, where the mesh frame that we made is, that's where my sweet peas grow. But at the moment it's a lot of dead wood, and it just needs sorting out, but that'll be a job for a warmer day, I think. And then the pots that I have here outside the house, I didn't actually empty those out at the end of the summer season. There's actually some dahlias in those pots, and I really should have brought those tubers in but I didn't get round to it. So that, again, that's a job for another day, getting those pots cleared, ready for planting up with flowers again in the spring through the summer. And this little pot here, you can just see there's some teeny tiny spikes coming through. It's starting to fall to bits now, but this was actually a little gift from my mum as part of my 40th birthday present. And I'm just about to be 49, so, you know, it's done well, but it's been frosted a few times. So it's starting to fall to bits and I don't want to move it, but it holds happy memories and it looks so pretty when those little narcissi come through every year. Now I'm just standing underneath this beautiful mighty oak tree, and you may recall in the autumn I planted all the way around the base and out some spring flowering bulbs, a whole selection. Now I've had a good old look around and there's nothing poking out yet, but it's very, very early days. But it's always exciting, isn't it? It's every time you come out, it's like, oh, is there anything coming? But there's nothing yet, but I'm hopeful that we're going to have a lovely riot of colour around this oak tree come the spring. So the horses are doing absolutely fine. You can just see over there is Fish and Garth. I think Pony is hiding behind the bushes just there, but they're doing absolutely fine. And then the sheep are actually over. You can see where we've got this massive flood. It's almost like a skating rink at the moment, but you've seen me go up and feed those in previous videos, and they're doing absolutely fine. So I hope you've enjoyed this little February update and tour. While there's not a huge amount going on, it's really that time of year that's full of promise, and we're starting to think about what we've got coming ahead. And there are a few bits and bobs that we can be starting to sow and grow. So I hope you're all well. Thank you so much for watching. If you are new to my channel, do please consider subscribing and hit that bell to get notifications of all my latest videos. And to all of you that have already subscribed, I really do appreciate it. Thank you very much. Take care, and I'll see you all again soon.